Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Entertainment Evolved. If you listened to my Rough Cut episode I put out a little earlier today talking about what we had coming up, you know that I am right here tonight with none other than Tim Blackmon. Welcome back to the show, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
This time in person.
Yeah, in person.
In the studio.
Yeah, you know, hell's frozen over multiple times here. No pun intended.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So here we are.
Yeah, man. I am happy to have you on the show. You hit me up and said that you wanted to get something off your chest, and I said I know exactly the place to do that. And like I said, here we are. A little bit of housekeeping. I want to get it out of the way first. In just 1 week coming up, CannaCon, which is at the Legion Building, or same place IWE is. I've got a panel coming up at noon. I'm going to have Ace from the Superhero Homies. He's going to join me on that. We're going to talk about wrestling. I'm sure IWE is going to come up. Some of the things we're going to talk about here are going to come up. And we're going to talk about, just all kinds of other stuff, too. Maybe some comics and movies and other things. So whatever happens, we're letting people submit questions and things for that. So come out and check that out.
It's definitely going to be a good time.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. And from what I understand, it's going to be pretty packed there, too. So you need to come.
Yeah, that's what I understand, too. And then I don't want to I don't want to reveal anything here, but I've been hearing rumblings that next year is going to be even bigger. So,
yeah, same.
So that being said, man, you said you want to get something off your chest. I know a lot of people have been running their mouths, and it wasn't me this time. It's one of the rare times that it wasn't me. But, coming off of a stellar show, it seems that people always got something to say.
Always.
Always. And I kind of, put the feelers out there that I was going to have you on or whatever, and we were going to talk about some stuff, and people are like, yeah, but, y'all are on the same side. And I'm like, but that don't mean we agree on everything,
Absolutely not.
And we don't.
We don't.
So,
I mean, obviously what took place at the show.
Yeah.
To end the show. Yeah.
Or, if you just look at the last 20 years.
Yeah, there you go. Last 20 years. But yeah, I mean, I get off my chest. I mean, we started IWE to put together a good show, good wrestling show for the fans in the CSRA, the Augusta area. Not trying to step on no toes, not trying to do anything, but just create an atmosphere for wrestling fans to love.
Right.
And I feel like that over the 4 or 5 years that we've been doing this now, we've done that. We've achieved it. You're going to have naysayers all the time. You're going to have people talking crap. All the time, I mean, we had a promoter this year say that his lowest crowd would be our highest crowd. Well, I don't think that aged well, but, that's neither here nor there.
It did not age well.
No, it didn't.
But honestly, it was fuel for the fire.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It just it lit a fire into me to get out and do more, push harder, do more stuff, and, create an atmosphere of what IWE has become.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're going into what will be the last show of this year in November. And, it just, looking back at it from here, it's just like you started at the beginning of the year and it just up and up and up. Each show was bigger and better. And I wasn't, before I came out, and actually joined the team, I wasn't super familiar with the crowd that came out to IWE. I knew that there was not a lot of crossover with Viral, just because, there's not a lot of people that travel between shows, even ones that are that close together, which is why a lot of the interpromotional drama nonsense is really pointless, right?
Yeah, it's pointless. Yeah.
It's really just for the people in the back, for the boys, whatever.
Yeah.
And most of the talent doesn't care about it either.
No, they don't. And honestly, we have our crowd, they have their crowd, they have their stories, we have our stories. I mean, it's all good,
Right.
It's just, like I said, we just wanted to bring another avenue of wrestling to the CSRA. So.
Right. And it is a different environment entirely. But when I look at that crowd and I come out every show, I see a ton of the same faces. So people are liking what they're seeing and they're coming back.
Yes.
And then I also see a bunch of new faces, and those new faces come back.
Yeah.
And that's, as as a promoter, that's the golden ticket right there.
Yes. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a time where all of those people are going to show back up. and we're going to have to put a screen up outside or something because I don't know if we can fit any more in the building.
Right.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, just we had a show. We had 521 attendance. Pictures were taken, videos were shot, that kind of thing. And then, 2 days later, you hear somebody in rumblings of, we lied about our number, or our number wasn't real because somebody that has been to that building before said that you couldn't put that many people in there. Obviously, you can.
Right.
Because we were there.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then. So the max capacity is 550. Just because somebody else couldn't put 500 in there don't mean that you can't put 500 in there.
That's absolutely correct.
So
other people have tried.
Yeah.
I mean, other people have tried and failed to put 200 in there.
Yeah. So or 70.
Or 70, yeah. Yeah, well, it comes down to, are you promoting the event? Are you booking talent that people want to see? Are you running angles that people want to see? And, I'm just going to go right out and say it. Let's just say that Larry Goodman had been at the show, right? And, I got a lot of respect for Larry.
I do too.
Let's say he had reported that 521 number. Do you think that people would be saying the things that they've been saying about it?
I honestly don't.
Right.
I think with him being there and him writing down the number or him validating the number, there wouldn't be as much rumblings going on.
Right. So. Because it's always that, there was, nobody from GWH there.
No.
And it's just like, oh, well, in that case, it doesn't count.
Well, here in Augusta, we kind of understand. We kind of have had that over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I've been up and down that road several times, got a T-shirt from both ends of it,
And last year, we won Promotion of the Year. We won Promoter of the Year. I mean, we won a lot of stuff last year at GWH and at the award show. And I mean, so I'm not knocking what they do. I think it is important for the boys. I think it's important for us. I think it's important for wrestling to validate those that work hard.
Right.
And I think that's what the GWH is for. And I think that's what I support in the GWH.
Yeah.
But as far as all the other clatter and clutter that comes through there, as far as this one, I can't say what I really want to say.
That's because you can't say it. You can say whatever you want here as far as I'm concerned.
But, when you have this group, sucking up to this group and this group sucking up that group and that group sucking up to the same person, and it just goes over here, and then we're over here just doing good shit. And it's like, well, we would come, but we're just too far away. No, that's not true.
Right, yeah.
That's not true, because if you wanted to come, you come.
Right, yeah.
And also, it's like, well, you got to send these reports out. You got to send these reports out. I didn't send a report of the last show, and I did it on purpose.
Right.
I mean, we're on IWTV.
Right.
I mean, if anybody wants to watch it, they'll go watch it. I think we've had 100+ hours of views over the last week of the show. Yeah. So, if you really want to talk about it on your podcast, you really want to talk about it on your, in your writings and that kind of thing, you could, because there's information out there to get it.
And kind of the thing with GWH for me over the years and like what I've seen is I do think it's twofold, right? Number one, I think it's really important for the talent to have an avenue for there to be recognition, right?
Yes.
That absolutely should happen because Georgia has some of the best talent, And then it's kind of like there's all these ridiculous kind of things that come up, like this guy only wrestles for one place, or this guy's a Carolina guy, even though he's in Georgia every other weekend,
Yeah.
All this kind of nonsense that's been layered on top of it and kind of, I think, ruins it to an extent. But then on the other hand, GWH is not important to anybody's business model.
No, as far as IWE's business model, I did shoot my shot way back 3-4 years ago.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. To me, it was a way to prove myself in the business.
Right.
Just starting IWE back up. But as the business model of IWE progresses and grows, we want to be Southeast. We want to be known nationally, without a headbutt.
Right.
So we want to be known as the place that talent come to move to that next level.
Right.
So, and I think that we've accomplished that as far as a business model. So.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think I think the thing about it is like GWH isn't improving anybody's numbers because like paying fans don't care at all. They don't. They come and they're like, oh, you guys got promotion of the year. I love coming here. Hooray, whatever. And that's it. That's the most you're going to get out of them. So, I think there's a lot of emphasis placed on it, maybe unnecessarily. I think the recognition is great, but at the end of the day, it's trying to get butts in seats so that they can see the product,
Yeah. At the end of the day, wrestling is a business, and over the years I have run wrestling shows and never created business models, and we just was out there wrestling, having fun, that kind of thing. But as you get older, you understand that the business part is the business, and money is money, and you have to do what you can to support what you're doing to move to those next levels.
Well, and there's, on that note, it's like there's a lot out there. You talked about, like, we know in the Augusta area. I said this earlier, and you and I have said it. I feel like the top 3 promotions in the state, Southern Honor, Viral, IWE. I think I feel like there's a huge drop-off from there. I feel like the fact that there's a lot of promotions that are central to Atlanta, and that's like where most of the buzz is at, hypes a lot of those up. Mm-hmm. But I think in 2023, if you don't have a good production, you're not bringing in top class talent that could go to that next level. I don't think you deserve to be in that discussion.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree that IWE, Southern Honor, Viral, I believe that Action is in there because they're more regionally known than just in the city. And then, you have your Southern Fried. I mean, Sexton, I love him.
I do too.
Yeah, he was the only booker in the state of Georgia to message and say congratulations. So I have tons of respect for him, because he didn't have to do that. I mean, this was like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
Right.
And he just sent out, congratulations. So that means a lot.
I have a similar story to that. I don't want to toss him under the bus. I don't want to lose any points with anybody for this, but my last night booking at Viral, he sent me a very nice message, and I I don't know that we've ever talked face to face. He didn't have to do that, and yeah, I mean, just world class guy. Mm-hmm. Really like him. Got nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah, so I mean, and he books, Anarchy, he books Southern Honor, he books for Southern Fried. So I mean, he does a really, really good job doing those. And I think if you group that group together, I think those are your top contenders going forward, for sure.
Right.
I'm a little biased, obviously.
Clearly.
But at the end of the day, I believe that based on what we did last year, I believe we got better this year. So I don't know how that we cannot be talked about in that promotion of the year.
Right. I agree because I think that this year has just been, I think the growth has accelerated. I think it's skyrocketed. I mean, I might be a little biased about that, but I mean, I'm there. I see it firsthand.
Yeah. And then, as far as the GWH goes, this is the kind of season that it's kind of moving to the next, the award season, they say. So, all these podcasts are out there talking about this, that, and the other as far as the best of and that kind of thing. And then you got your Wrestler of the Year. I think Wrestler of the Year this year could be numerous people.
Right.
Alex Kane, top 5 heavyweight in PWI.
Yeah, I don't know how you could – see, and this is where it comes back to earlier where, it's like we kind of try to put all these, like, gotchas in there, mm-hmm. right? So somebody will say, oh, well, that's MLW's a national promotion, so it can't be him. And I'm like, okay, but you're only throwing that in there because if you don't, then how could it be anyone else?
Well, we've had 5 shows, and he's wrestled in 3 of them.
Right.
So he's wrestled the majority of our shows in Georgia.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, you can have him. I think Joe Black is tremendous. Me and Joe Black hadn't seen eye to eye from time to time, but that's okay. I have a respect for him, and he has a respect for me going forward. But I think that you can't talk about Wrestler of the Year without talking about him. I think that Skrilla has put on he has put his best foot forward this year, and he's won titles, and he has worked his butt off.
Right.
I think he is overlooked at times.
Yeah.
Whether he finishes first, second, third, that's not. But I just think him as a person has elevated. over this year.
I think he's in that spot that like Owen was in 5 years ago, where it's just like you go and see this guy, and you're like, how is he not in discussion? How is he not doing all this stuff? And now, you know, he's held titles all over the place.
All over. Yep.
You know, certainly not being slept on anymore. But
Yeah.
you look back 5 years ago, and it was just like, you know, he was on the bottom of the card, all the places he was working just about. And you just look at it, and you're like, mind blown, how is this? And I feel like Strilla's in that spot.
Oh,
now.
Owen should be considered as well.
I agree.
I mean, Owen is, he is the best kept secret in Georgia for some reason, and I don't know why we keep him a secret, but he is one of the best. Period.
Well, he's so consistent.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get at bare minimum, like his bare minimum is a good match, and then he never phones it in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's always there, and he's always going to get a response, no matter if he's babyface, heel, whatever. He's always going to get a big reaction from the crowd.
I agree.
And he's got the best damn entrance music.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, and Cruel being the IWTV champion and the IWE champion, you know, some could consider him as well.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you're building a top five, can you imagine building two of them or MLW guys?
Right. Yeah.
You know, and that's going to be the best of Georgia is now the next level. You know, it's not just your indie promotions that the best of Georgia is, in my opinion. So
well, and that's the thing too. You know, this is where all those little exceptions come in. A guy like White Mike that absolutely should be in that.
Absolutely,
but he only works here as far as Georgia.
Only works it. Yep.
And so he won't be in the discussion. You know, I've said this about John Davis in the past. He only works at Viral. John Davis should always be in that discussion.
Yes.
No matter what, because he's just an incredible talent, but he's left out of it, you know. And then he went to, was it Hell Freezes Over?
Yeah.
And was in that, and everybody was like, "Oh, look at this guy! Where's he been?" It's like he's been right there. You know?
He's been here the whole time.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, so as far as wrestler of the year, I mean, there's so many ways you could go. I mean, you have your tag teams of the year. I don't know that there's another company out that has a better tag team division than IWE. I'll stand on that, and I'll put that out front. That, you know, you have the Hierarchy as the champs. You have the Ugly Ducklings. You have Exotic Youth. You have the Reality. I mean, you have Buff and Fluff coming to the next show. I mean, it's hard to argue that. Yeah.
I agree, man. The Ducks are, like, for the longest time overlooked in Georgia, kind of for that same thing, right? Mm-hmm. You really only see them in this area. And it's just like, that's so crazy because they were, for several years, easily the top tag team in both the Carolinas.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Wasn't even close.
Easy.
You know?
Yeah. And the way things have progressed at IWE, 3 years ago, I would have never put the Ugly Ducklings on curtain.
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
You know, because they were the draw.
Yeah.
And they still are.
They are, yeah.
You know, and they still are. I mean, what's the biggest crowds that has been in Augusta? Coach Mikey's been the centerpiece of
Every
it.
time.
So, and that's over, what, 3-4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest crowds come to see Coach Mikey. So,
yeah,
you know, it's hard to say that they're not the best whenever they draw the best.
Well, and Rob, you know, I definitely don't want to downplay anybody else, but Rob is always going to go out there and do 1,000%.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
every
always.
time.
Heck, I learned from him just sitting beside him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so much knowledge. It's unbelievable. I mean, you got the Hierarchy going around winning belts everywhere. I think they won their third belt yesterday or day before, something like that. So, I mean, it's hard to say they wouldn't be in the talk. Exotic Youth puts on a show every time they show up.
Yeah.
You know, their group is tremendous. You know, I'm a little biased there because my kid, you know, Pepper Bottom, you know, he's with them. You know, me and his mom, Estranged, that kind of thing. But we're working that out. We're working that out. So.
Yeah. I never thought, you know, a couple years ago, or even a year ago, I'd have never thought I would have been working alongside those guys. But I like them. They're great.
I mean, they are entertaining.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And we'd be remiss not to note, like, if you're going to go off of purely crowd reaction, it's All-Star. I mean,
All-Star specials. Yeah.
That's how
I mean, they're the draw.
Yeah.
As well.
I mean, they got no chance of taking the titles off the hierarchy. Let's not.
Well,
Don't get me
well,
wrong,
I don't know because,
but you know, if we were just going by pops, you know, then it would be them.
Because it's hard to replicate 400 or 500 people standing up and singing a song with them at the same time and hollering it to the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
You know, just chill bumps everywhere at that point. You know, so, and if you can bring moments like that to a wrestling show, independent wrestling show, at WWE, it don't matter. But if you bring those moments to the crowd, then you're that guy. So
I remember, this is when I was booking at Viral. I remember going out to Southern Honor, and I saw them come out. And before the match even started, I said, yes, I have to have them. And you know, I think anybody in the state that's not using them is, I mean, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know if you just hate money or what, but they're a draw. You know, I can't take that away from them.
I mean, they sell more merch than anybody in the state, from what I understand. So
I would not doubt that at all.
Hard pressed to beat that. You know, and then you have, you know, our guys that we've developed over the years. We've developed. We've got Odom, Matt Odom. He's injured now, but you know he was coming up. You know, we had Hunter Young. You know, coming up. I believe he's an exceptional talent. I feel like association, you know, hurts him at times, but at the end of the day, I think he's a great person and great talent.
I agree.
So when you look at most improved wrestler for this coming year, do you take a wrestler that was at the top and excelled even more, or do you take somebody who was not even on the radar and you put them on the radar? Because most improvement to me means they made the biggest jump, no matter where they're at.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can take that, somebody who was unknown and now they are a talk of the town, then it's hard to press that they're not most improved.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's tough because there's so many people on that list. Like, one of the names that comes to mind for me is, like, Shug D, who, and ironically, almost in a Chris Jericho fashion, he's been around forever, but he can keep reinventing himself.
He does.
The thing he's doing right now with the landlord gimmick,
yes,
I am a huge fan of. The very first time he did it, I said, you got to stick with that.
Yeah.
Do this. This is amazing. Nobody likes their landlord. And and it just works out. You know,
does.
Kind of the same way that the Vince McMahon, Steve Austin thing works out. Nobody likes their boss, whatever. And that's like why it works so well. And I think you have to look at it from that angle too. Is like, yeah, he's been around for a long time, but he's got that ability to constantly reinvent himself and stay relevant.
Yep. I agree. I mean, that one is the toughest one because you can pull names from all over the state. You can pull guys that probably most people just going to listen to this don't know, but they will know.
Right.
You know, so then your women's wrestler of the year.
Right.
I mean, now, is there another women's title in Georgia that is relevant?
I don't know. I cannot take anything.
NWA maybe? Yeah.
That's true. I can't take anything away from Ellie. I cannot.
Yeah.
She's got the Netflix spot.
Yeah, she did.
So
Shalance got the Netflix spot.
Yeah, also. Yeah, big shout out for her too. So I can't take anything away from them, but I think as far as like the range of talent that gets brought in, it's IWE, you know, because most places and I've gone on record saying this before, like, I don't think everybody needs to have a women's title because there isn't that much talent. And I'll be honest, I was critical of it when you guys brought one in because I was like, it's just going to be what you see in a lot of places where it's just there's the mainstay person and then you just bring in people to face them. Yeah. That's not a division.
That is not a division. But
what IWE has got is a division.
And we have fell into that from time to time.
It's hard not
in the year. It's hard not to because booking women wrestling is difficult.
Right.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult to set a card and promote that card and hope that card shows up.
Right.
You know, and it's no knock on anybody by no means, but it is difficult. So now that we had 4 at the last show, 4 ladies wrestling. We've had triple threats. At this coming show, we're going to have 2 ladies matches.
Yep.
You know, so we'll have a number one contenders match, and we'll have a hardcore ladies match
Which
with
is the
Lindsay
first.
Snow and Kelsey Reagan.
Yeah,
Which
which is
is-
a huge first.
Yeah, which is the first that I think in Georgia. I mean, somebody can probably go back into the 50s or whatever. Susan Green or somebody probably did it, or whatever. I mean, I know somebody will probably post that at the bottom and say,
Oh, I'm
y'all don't
sure.
know what y'all talking about. This lady did this and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, the promoting it now is not happening like that.
Yeah.
So this is a first for us. This is a first for IWE. This is the first true hardcore match that we're gonna have, and I'm all there.
Yeah.
I'm for it. So I can't wait to see what they do.
Well, the same thing happens when we talk about Augusta wrestling attendance numbers. Somebody will be like, "Well, Tommy Rich in '81," and I'm like, nobody cares.
Yeah,
Irrelevant.
I agree. And then one of the most talked about last year was match of the year,
Right.
which was White Mike won it, and he was in it for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So he brags on it. He carried the whole match. But at the end of the day, I believe that he was in match of the year this year.
You think so?
I think him and Coach Mikey
Yeah.
was the match.
Yeah.
The emotion that was there.
That was January.
That
right?
was in January. Yeah. And the bad thing is it happened in January.
Right. But I agree with you. It's to the point where I wrote an article and sent it to DWH about it.
Yes.
And that, I think, might be the only time it's ever happened.
Yeah. I mean, just the story that they built to get to that moment was special.
Right.
I mean, there's no other way to put it.
They could have done no wrong in that building that night.
Yeah. And the little nuances that they brought into it to make it even more real to the fans and that kind of thing was just tremendous. Skrilla and Carly Bravo
Yep.
in the doors match. I
Yeah.
mean, that was in March. I mean,
Yeah.
and the bad thing about it is it happens so early in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's matches that IWE that we've had that I know should be considered. I don't pay attention so much to everybody else. I have never really paid attention to anybody else other than who talks shit about me.
Right.
I mean, if you talk crap about me, then yeah, I'm gonna pay attention to you because I don't like you at that point. But at the end of the day, I kind of lost track here, but
It happens. We'll go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I know that Nagicism and Owen had some bangers.
Oh yeah, they did,
for sure.
and they did what a best of 7.
Yeah,
series?
I don't think it was all this year.
Yeah.
I think it was end of last year, beginning of this
Yeah.
year. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah.
But
Same.
like I said, I don't keep up, especially not
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah.
I don't keep up with a ton.
Yeah.
But I think there's been a lot. I think that the tag match from the last show, not to be biased on that, but that was at the end of a long show, and you had a very long tag match, a fatal 4-way tag match, and you just think about it, at the end of the night, people are usually ready to go. So for that match to have been at the end of a long show, they've already seen all sorts of big stuff. And it to be able to keep the crowd that entire time and keep them invested, I think it just showed that people are really invested in that angle.
Yeah.
And I thought that was tremendous too.
And Lucky Ali, first time ever
Yeah.
wrestling Cruel, and they had the crowd in the palm of their hand.
Yeah.
It was they couldn't do no wrong at that point. And then White Mike coming out and stating his claim to the title and that kind of thing. So I mean, people really feel that, and they want to be there to see what happens. Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Lucky Ali.
Yeah.
Have been for many years. I remember seeing him in Charlotte, North Carolina for the first time, and I was like, this guy's got it. I remember, I talked to James Drake about him for a little while. Well, JD Drake now.
Yeah.
I'm over here name dropping.
Yeah.
This was before AEW was a thing.
Yeah.
And it's just and being like, hey, man, I saw this kid, and I think he's really got it. And he said, no, he does have it.
He does.
And I was like, well, that's all I need, and the rest is history. And I watched, I went up to Title Belt Pro and saw him and Sean, and they absolutely just tore the house down. I mean, it was on another level.
Yeah. And as far as, Booker of the Year, we've already said Todd Sexton. He books for 3 different places. So, he corners the market a little bit, but he is that good. So he wouldn't be working 3 different places if he wasn't good.
Right. I do
You
think
know,
he's good.
as far as that goes, people have a misunderstanding of our relationship as far as Booker and that kind of thing goes. But
Some people at IWE even, like, I have people come up to me in the locker room and go, because I guess they're just used to it.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this. And I'll be like, that sounds great to me, but I have no – I mean, sure, but, like, my sign-off doesn't mean anything, but you got it.
Yeah.
I mean, you do what you want with it.
I mean, I love Dylan to death, too. I mean, he does a good job over there at Southern Honor,
Dylan, ironically enough, we are two incredibly different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when it comes to wrestling, we have very similar thoughts about storytelling and like production.
Yeah.
But two incredibly different human beings.
Yeah.
But I got nothing but respect for him.
And as far as production and stuff, I know when we first started, we didn't have any.
Right.
Period. We had the curtain and
it's hard.
The music. It's hard to grow from that.
Especially like, and I don't mean to shit on anybody that's got their own building, but if you don't have your own building, turning a different venue into a production-heavy wrestling show is one of the hardest things there is to do.
Very much.
People do not understand what it takes to do that.
They absolutely don't. Oh, matter of fact, we talk about every single meeting when we're going to find our building.
Right.
Because that is the next step for us, I think, to be, so we can create a school, we can do things in the CSRA that nobody's ever done before, and, but if you don't have that building, it's difficult. If I didn't have Danny Meade,
right,
I wouldn't be able to do this thing. Danny Meade shows up on Friday night. He sets up Friday night. He sets up Saturday, and we have a lot of other people. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
We have Josh, we have Chris, we have all kinds of people. But at the end of the day, Danny Meade is a whole different animal.
Right.
He's working from the time he walks in the door to the time he leaves, and you just don't have that in this business anywhere.
I've been that guy, and I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are the Danny Meade of other organizations.
Yeah, once upon a time, I mean, when I stopped booking for the next, year and a half, I mean, that's what I was doing at Viral, was being their production manager. And yeah, I mean, it's, you get there, and the only break you get is during the show.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the show's over with, everybody else takes a break, and you go back to work.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, promoter of the year?
I mean, it's you.
No, I mean,
it's you.
At the end of the day, it's not me tooting my horn or anything,
right.
by no means. But without the team that we have, and I'm going to put this out there because this is who I am, and I think you didn't know who I was for the longest time. I enjoy what I do, but I would never be here without the team that supports me.
Right.
I would never be here without my wife. I would never be here without Josh. And I know you and Josh hadn't seen eye to eye on a lot of things, but
it happens.
Not Hancock, but Josh Fields.
I know. Yeah,
Josh
yeah.
Fields, yeah.
We'll
specify real quick, but,
yeah.
because people,
I got nothing bad to say about either one of them. So,
yeah, but as a promoter, I wouldn't be as good a promoter without the team that I have.
Right.
And I'll say that to anybody and everybody. Most promoters come out here, toot their own horn. They're the greatest of all time. They post on Facebook 50 times a day, yada, yada, yada. But nobody, you post it so much that nobody really cares. So I'm not that promoter.
Right.
But I don't think you have to be that promoter to be the promoter.
Right.
So Manders, I went to Southern Fried. Manders is awesome dude. I mean, what I'm saying? He works his butt off.
Yeah. I've never met him.
I mean, awesome dude, works his butt off. Matt Griffin.
Yeah.
Tremendous guy.
I like Matt. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think there's promoters out there that are great, and deserve the recognition as well. I'm only where I'm at now because of the team that is built around us. So
I think if you look at it, the promoter's job is to make sure that people know about the product and that people show up. And I think you went from the beginning of the year, what was January? What do you guys have, like 3-something?
Actually, it was in the twos, high twos.
So you get from that to having to turn people away because you couldn't let anybody else in the door. It's hard to argue that.
Yeah.
And that's why came right out the gate with, I think you deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
But
What's the guy, Lucha in Atlanta?
Yeah, Ricardo.
Ricardo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as drawing money, that dude's got he does.
I talked about this a lot too. Is it's like, this is another one of those little exception things. It's like, oh well, we don't include them. I'm like, well, if you do, he's promoter of the year every year.
Yeah, I wish we could charge the ticket prices he charges. Whew.
Oh yeah, I mean,
in a much bigger venue and more people.
I'm gonna say it right now. If we charged $100 for front row, there wouldn't be anybody there. Maybe one or two.
Yeah, we price ourselves clean out the market at that point. Yeah, so if you can do that, more power to you. I mean, you're pretty darn good promoter.
Yeah,
in my
you'd have
opinion.
people sitting in the back, and the front row would be empty.
Yeah, they'll buy the $20 tickets, and then we'll have the front 2 rows just slap empty.
Yeah.
It's
a dream, but I mean, in this market, and I've been to a couple of those shows. I used, I lived in Atlanta for a long time, and the atmosphere they create there is just it's. I mean, that fan base is ravenous.
Yeah. Yeah, it invested for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, and he goes out and promotes. You know what I mean,
and the talent's there. He brings in the talent. I mean, it's just a win-win for everybody at that point.
Yeah. But I think my favorite thing that ever happened in one of those shows is Joey Lynch came out and they chanted Jesus at him all the way to the ring. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I died laughing. I couldn't stop.
I think I would have laughed there too. Yeah, I think I would have laughed at that too. So, I mean, those are a lot of the things that I wanted to kind of get off my chest. Georgia seems cliquish. Georgia is cliquish. Let's just be real. At the end of the day, I believe that IWE has put a book of work together that shouldn't be questioned. As far as integrity, as far as numbers, as far as that thing goes, I take offense to it. Simply because I've done everything that I could to do this thing the right way.
Right.
I make sure I take care of the guys more than others.
And people seem to have a problem with that.
At the end of the day, if you drive to Atlanta to do a show, do you feel like you should get paid more than you drive 2 blocks down the street?
Yeah, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So
right.
if we're pulling talent from a regional area, the regional area, we're not going to pay that talent the whatever few dollars that somebody else pays them because they're driving further.
Right.
And I feel as if that is their pay. They deserve to be compensated for that.
I agree.
So people can say what they want to about that, but I feel like the boys and the wrestlers need to be taken care of. Right. I believe that promoters lose focus of that. They lose focus of the importance of the worker.
Right.
They lose the focus of what's important with the wrestler. And they think that they're the guy. When we're only the guy because of what they do for us.
Right.
Like I said, as a promoter, my team is great. Our wrestlers are tremendous.
If the talent knows they're going to be taken care of, they're going to be invested in your product.
Yes.
And I have seen firsthand the difference. And you really don't want to be in the second category there.
No.
Because, you might could get somebody to come down for X amount of dollars. I'm not going to pull an Al Snow and throw James Storm under the bus. That shit was hilarious. But anyway,
by the way, that wasn't the number James Storm gave me, but
I can't say either way.
Yeah.
But if you know me personally, I'll take it. But there's a difference as far as like how invested they are in the story you're trying to tell, the product you're trying to put out. And you might be able to get them for a little less than they're asking, but they're going to show up and wrestle and go home. And that's what you're going to get. And I'm not saying everybody's justified in that. There's a lot that comes into it. I think there's a lot of times, like most things in this business, people try to make it personal. It's like, oh, well, what can we get you for? Okay, well, we can't do that number. It's not personal. It just you're not going to bring in enough people to justify that, and that's that market, and maybe you will in another market, whatever.
I've blown the wrestlers' minds over the last few years. It's like, so because I ask them what they want or what they feel like they're worth, because I don't know what you're worth. You know your worth, right?
Right.
You know, and I'm teaching them to know their worth, and not just from me, but other places. Me and Skrilla's had this conversation many times. If you know your worth, you ask for it.
Right.
And if you ask for it, you get it.
Right.
And if you don't, don't go.
Right.
I mean, and when you finally realize that this is a business and then you are worth something, because every wrestler in the back is worth something, for sure. Some promoters don't think so, but I do. I think the wrestlers are worth more than what they think they are at times. And I've ended up giving people raises without them even asking, you know, just simply because I understand what they're going through.
That is a different conversation, too, because that does not happen a lot on the circuit. I'm not going to say who it is, but I can remember a time where somebody that's pretty nationally famous now, they were getting a rate, and went to them and said, hey, look, you know, you're putting on tremendous work. Think you should have this instead of what you're getting. And when that person went to that next level and the next level, they never came back and said, all right, well, you know, I do this now, so this is what it costs, because they respected that.
Yeah.
And that's just that's how it is mutual respect, you know.
And to have guys like Cruel and Alex Kane show up at an IWE show is crazy to me. You know, the kid inside of me that's, you know, watched TV and seen those guys, and then, you know, these kids that come to IWE watch some TV, seen MLW, you know, seen Alex Kane, seen Mads Kruger, and then now they're in front of them. I mean, for them to be at little old IWE is just, it just blows my mind at times.
Yeah, I mean, or some of the talent that's been on national TV or whatever, you know. So.
Yep. So, I mean, like I said, I had some things to get off my chest. I appreciate you giving me the avenue and the venue to do it. Probably going to get talked about a little bit, you know.
I remember the last time that you were on, we, like, specifically did not really talk about wrestling.
No, we didn't. Yeah, we talked about Marvel and all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so this time I was like, well, that's the main event here. That's the main thing we're going to talk about. So I put out a little short episode on audio this morning just kind of talking about, like, hey, look, first time you were here, we didn't talk wrestling. This time, that's the main subject. We're going to get it all out. And, I mean, you know, I think just the fact that you and I are sitting here is being overlooked by a lot of people. A lot of people are chalking that up to coincidence or whatever. Let them, you know. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it seems to be working. So
yeah. But your team is not going to beat IWE, by the way. Yeah, I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, IWE will be standing tall at the end of the day. So.
Well, you know, I just got to say that the last time that I was in the same place with Sean and there's a wrestling ring, prior to this last one, he went to the ER with a nice little gash, you know, so he might want to look out.
Well, I think he remembers that, so which is why he showed up at the last show.
I'm sure, you know, and he got a great reaction. I don't want to take that away from him.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
He got a stellar reaction, but like I said earlier, you know, reactions don't win things. They're very nice to sell some merchandise. I think he sold a T-shirt for like an astronomical amount of money.
Oh man, the number that I heard was crazy.
I think we talked about it when he was on this show.
Yeah, y'all had to have, because that, I mean, it was at an IWE show.
I think it was $500.
Yeah, $500 for a T-shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he talked about it. Yeah, when he was on here.
That was crazy, but hey, he's that guy. You know, I mean, all his stuff over in Japan. I mean, tremendous. I mean, I could just sit and watch it all day. I mean, he just did a really, really, really good job over there.
That's another guy who, you know, for the longest time, he's not in the award talk.
Yeah, but why not? I mean, that's see, we talked about Alex Kane, all these other guys, but he's that guy too.
Yeah, and then for Sean to go to Japan, have a successful run, you know, they want to bring him back, you know, all that stuff, and it's just like, okay. If
he's not in the talk, I don't think there should be a talk.
Yeah, I mean, he he also, oddly enough, could also be most improved. It seems weird to give somebody of his caliber that kind of distinction, but Sean's always had the athleticism, but now he has all the tools to make the athleticism like work for him rather than.
And like you said before, I mean, he was Indies and he went to Japan. That's improvement.
That's a huge leap.
I mean, that's a huge leap. Yeah. So if you can do that, then most improved. I mean,
right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know of very many people in the state of Georgia that can make claims that they went from working indie shows to going over to working NOAA.
Right. Yeah. Very few people can say that. And you can check out my interview with him. If you're watching this, it's going to be in the same place. So, yeah, I mean, that was an awesome interview. And we talked about how he got selected to go over to NOAA. And this was like right before he went.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he has a bunch of stories from over there. So
yeah.
Maybe I'll have to have him.
You have to get him on to hear some of those. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I know who I'd be watching. So.
Well, you got anything else you want to get off your chest?
I think that's about it. I think that we're good. I think that Georgia needs to take note of Augusta, Georgia.
Oh, I think so too. November 18th, right?
November the 18th.
We will both be there. It's going to be at the Legion Building, and IWE is going to finish out the year even stronger than
Kings of Controversy 2.
Right.
And what better way to have, you have your North, and you have, if anybody watches
Game of Thrones
or anything like that, that's kind of the way we want to go on, that kind of thing. So, I think that, Kings of Controversy with us two in the story and in the building at the same time from Kings of Controversy 1 of last year, it's just, yeah, it's going to be tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, I missed the first one, but, I mean, clearly you had me in mind when you named it that.
Well, yeah, you and Skrilla.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of us can, man.
Yeah.
We ever get in the ring on a microphone at the same time,
That very well may happen soon.
It might.
Yeah, you never know.
So. Well, in that case, man, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.